So Biden not only approves long-range missiles for Ukraine to use against Russia, but now they're supplying them with landmines, anti-personnel landmines, less than what, little over 2 months before he's out. Major shifts. Let's hear about it.
Because the Russians have been so unsuccessful in the way that they have been fighting, they've kind of changed their tactics a bit, and they don't lead with their mechanized forces anymore. They lead with dismounted forces who are able to close and do things to kind of pave the way for mechanized forces. So that's what the Ukrainians are seeing right now, and they have a need for things that can help slow down that effort on the part of the Russians. They're fabricating their own anti-personnel landmines right now. The landmines that we would look to provide them would be landmines that are not persistent. You know, we can control when they would self-activate, self-detonate, and that makes it far more safer eventually than the things that they are creating on their own.
For more stories like these.
Okay, so that's U.S. Defense Chief. What is his name? Lloyd Austin. I had seen another video right here. General, what's his name? Kane breaks down anti-personnel mines.
For Ukraine. America will also send more than $275 million worth of new weapons over there.
$275 million. Look at that number. Can you imagine that in your bank account? 200. You look at your shit. It said 275, 200. I mean, a million. Anything really? Most Americans will never see that. We just gotta look at that number and pretend. Just like experienced through empathy and somebody else's bank account. These politicians' bank account. You know, Nancy Pelosi makes less than, for her position, she made less than $200,000 a year, but somehow during her time in Congress, her net worth has risen almost over $200 million. $200 million working for the people, right?
Retired four-star General Jack Keane makes another welcome appearance here in New York. General, it seems to me, and you're the expert here, seems to me that everybody's maneuvering in advance of peace talks in Ukraine. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, certainly there's some truth to that. I mean, the reality is that when President Trump confronts Putin as President of the United States, not directly, but starts to deal with him in formulating policies, he's going to find that Putin is somewhat different than what he was in 2016 to 2020. He's a wartime commander now. He's got his economy on a war footing. He's absolutely determined to take all of Ukraine. He's frustrated that it didn't happen in a couple of weeks. His domestic population was stunned by that. And now everybody in Russia is paying some kind of a price for this war because their economy has gone down further. Nowhere near what we wanted to do with imposing sanctions. So that is stage one there. The second thing is certainly, I think President Biden, what he is doing is trying to get all of these weapons in there much faster and additional weapons that they wanted. I mean, it's pretty sad commentary.
He should have done it earlier, shouldn't he?
Oh, my God. Yeah, the first year of the war, when the Ukrainians showed us that they can really fight these guys, the Russians weren't as good as we thought. The Ukrainians were a hell of a lot better than we thought.
Yeah, nobody thought that, Russia was going to take this long. I thought it was going to be over in the first month. But we started supplying them, and Putin was, like, dragging along. But we never know what was, like, what is the restraints on Putin, right? We don't know their side. Like, he got people behind him. No, we can't do this. Nah, let's not do this. And he probably fighting his own battle to stay in control. And then I think a lot of the Russian leaders, like the last Russian leader before Putin, basically what they do is they get ready to leave, and they don't want to leave their country in a bad position because then they risk the next person that take over basically coming to get them and blaming it on them, and then they in jail forever or executed or something. So, like, even the person, I forgot his name, but the person that Putin took over, he kind of, like, groomed him. And then Putin probably reassured him that he'll let him live with his money on an island somewhere after he leave Russia and be good. Now, Putin want that to happen. So I'll be wondering who's second in command, who they think is going to come up after Putin. Putin is probably grooming that person and like, yo, this is how it work. You're gonna want this. Let me do it. So Putin is basically one of his legacy. He want to take the Ukraine, say we won, it was worth it. Then he can go retire somewhere, spend his billions of dollars, and be good. But this war is just taking the life out of him, and it's like reports he's sick and all these other things that I've seen. I can't confirm if it's true or not.
Give him the stuff, and the reality is we did not.
Well, now
they're doing it. So now it's like it's Biden is either trying to sabotage this whole thing for Trump. So now when he go to talk to Putin like, nah, it's up now. Like it's been up and stuck. I don't know where you've been, but now they got anti-personnel mine and they could strike inside the heart of Russia. Now it's up. Or maybe it might drive Putin like, yo, you can't do this. Yeah, it's getting too serious now. The millionaires and billionaires in Russia are scared because now they could be hit, and it's not like some faraway war. But this is a little too late.
Given them permission to use long-range missiles, and we're giving them landmines. Could that be good for Trump? Because those are bargaining chips. He can withdraw that in any talks that's coming up in the future.
That's what I was thinking.
Well, this thing about anti-mines, what's really going on here? They have the potential to cause civilian casualties if they wander into a mined area. But these are bona fide weapons of war. And the reality is that all of our weapons of war that fire anything at distance do cause civilian casualties. Even we cause them, or Ukrainians cause them, despite the fact we don't want to. Bombs, rockets and missiles, even artillery. And those casualties are far greater than what would be achieved by these mines. And listen, so our audience understands, these are our anti-personnel mines. They have on them devices that if they set the timer, if it doesn't go off initially in the time that they want it to, pending the attack, the mines will self-destruct. Or they have a battery that will shut them down. Okay. So this is what we put into it, knowing full well that we can use this to minimize casualties ourselves and protect people on the battlefield. The anti-mine group is still possessed about this, and they're going after it. But they just don't listen to the facts. They're value-based activists.
I like that if that's true, and they're like, because the things with mine is they usually don't have those safeguards, and then a lot of times after the war is over, like people, there's like, oh, we put 10,000 mines out there, and nobody know where they at. Like, oh, they recovered 8,000 of the 10,000 mines, so now it's like this area where like they know it's like 2,000 mines, but they don't know exactly where they at. So now you got to quarantine it, and then you got kids and teenagers, they'll sneak into this mine, and boom. A lot of places around the world, there's still active minefields. Like, hey, go here at your own risk, but we don't know where the mine's at. Shit crazy.
And keep pushing.
We have reports that the Iranians have sharply increased their stockpile of nuclear fuel. You think there's a possibility that they're going to make a dash to get a bomb?
Yeah, they're at the threshold level right now, and experts say they just have to increase it within a couple of weeks, and they would be in a position to weaponize. But then the weaponization of a bomb, to be able to use it, to deliver it in some means, that would take some months. I think it's unlikely, in my judgment, that given the Trump administration is coming in, that Iran would move from the threshold where they are to actually weaponization. Every president, since Iran professed interest in so-called developing nuclear civil power, which was always a nuclear weapon, has declared we will not permit Iran to have a weapon, and if we have to use force, we'll use it. I think the Iranians fear President Trump. They know full well he's going to slap maximum sanctions on them, and he's going to push back on them, and I think privately he's going to have some red lines with them. He doesn't like that.
Listen, of course privately you're going to have some red lines with him. And they're not going to tell us because we're not supposed to hear those things, and they got to keep it secret. Listen, we all need to move to nuclear power eventually. If we really care about the environment and the planet, then nuclear power is like damn near the only way to go. But we've seen like bad instances of like Chernobyl and things happen in dams, and it's always like It's the people that makes nuclear power, right? The people that makes it so dangerous because there's always people and they worry about their job and like, oh, we can't do this, and they're cutting corners, and then boom, you got a fucking radioactive spill in New Jersey somewhere, and nobody can live there for 1,000 years. We can't have that, right? Iran, Russia, China, U.S. is not evil countries. These are people living there, working every day, paycheck to paycheck, working a 9 to 5, just like everybody else around the globe. It's the politicians and these people that try to keep power. Zelensky, Putin, Netanyahu, the Iranian supreme Ayatollah, the politicians in the Democratic and the Republican side, and we're paying for this mess. Hopefully, Trump will go in there, fix all this mess, right? Not just out of the goodness of his heart, because he has an ego and he wanted to go down as the greatest president ever. So he has a lot to finish up. Finish the war in Ukraine, Putin, and Russia. Then tell Netanyahu to calm down. Then when Netanyahu don't calm down, because he probably won't, right? He probably won't. Then Trump gonna get on his ass, and that's gonna be it. And we're gonna see it. And then Roland Martin and all them motherfuckers that those bad news bears that like to harp on and just, oh my God, look what they do to us. Like I watched Roland Martin and and this is a whole different subject, but I watched Roland Martin and he's sitting there, oh, I'm gonna tell them, oh, watch what they get. They're gonna get what they voted for. They voted for Trump. Watch the whole country go to shit. Like, why would you even wish that? Like if Kamala won, I'd be like, damn, I wanted Trump to win. I don't know if she's gonna be good for the country, but I hope she is. I hope I'm wrong. No, Roland Martin, hope he's right. At our expense. No, I'd rather be wrong than to be right. But it's crazy. He won't even give it a chance. Zelensky, you got to put down the flag, my boy. You got to put up the flag, my boy, and finish this. Half the Ukrainians don't even want to fight anymore. Most of them feel like they're part of Russia, and the whole reason why we're in this war because Putin didn't want the Ukrainian to really join NATO. He didn't want the U.S. to have a damn base there and be right there, just like we didn't want Russia to have put missiles on Cuba. Same difference. Cuba to us is now the Ukraine to Russia. Same difference. Let's stop playing these word games and silence. And these people are dying out here in the Middle East and in the Ukraine. And they're dying for the sake of these politicians gaining money and act like they don't know what's going on, man. But let me know what you think. I want to hear it. Like, share, subscribe, all this. Watch these videos you see somewhere around here. Please stay. Come back.